Hello there. Today I want to just jump in really quick here and show you what object-oriented programming, the concept of inheritance in Java. So let's do this. I've created a project called demo, and inside there I have three classes. One class is called base, which hosts my main method, and the other class is house, and the other one is room. So what I'm trying to do here is give you an analogy that describes the fact that if you have a single room, it probably has the characteristics of the entire house, like it has the same color of the walls or the number of doors or something like that. And it also has something like, if you want to warm up a certain room, you don't just say you want to warm up one room. You can just turn on the heater and it warms every room, so all the rooms get the same amount of temperature or something like that. So having said that, we have a room class here, and this room class has something like height and width, and normally you probably have a room that is like, it has capacity in it, so it's base, height and width. But in this case, just for this example, we are just going to have this simple term. Now I'm going to jump in really quick here. In this room class, I'm going to define a constructor here. That way it will set some values when we define our new room. Okay, so let's see here. In this case, we'll just say this dot width is equals to width, and this dot height is equals to height. Okay, now normally if you want to do some accessing of a of values, really, you can use getter and setter functions, but since we don't need them right now, we don't have to do that. So I'm going to declare another function though called public void public int get area, and then this get area actually return width times height. Okay, and so we're just saying that if you want to get an area, let's get something like that. Now we are now going to deal with inheritance. When we say room extends house, we are saying that the room will get everything that is not private though. So it will get everything from house that is not private. Okay, so we just have properties here or members defined here called wallpaper or word color and door. So but I'm going to define other properties like a method called public void cool. If you want to cool the house, you have something like public system without the print line, and the room cooling down. Okay, and then another method here called public cool warm, and this method says no print line, and it says the room is warming up. Simple, right? So as you can see, we don't have these methods inside the room because it inherits from the house. So the room inherits the cooling and the warming effect from the house. So we can now go ahead and call call those methods, but first we have to create a room. So let's say room 1 is equals to new room, and then we pass in something like 12 by 40, and now we have a room called room 1. We can now say room 1 dot cool. Okay, if we say room 1 dot cool, let's see what is printed out here. It says the room is cooling down. What about the room dot warm? Okay, what do we see? The room is warming. So we can actually do again, say something like system dot out dot print line room 1 dot area get area. Okay, when we do that, Okay, you will see something like the area here is 480. So as you can see, you can access all the properties that are not private. Okay, that is very important here, not private. So that is the simplest thing, as far as inheritance is all about. But you can read more, of course, to the documentation. Have a good day, and if you have any questions, please ask me, and remember to subscribe. Bye bye. Okay guys, this is my my fifth video on how to build a blog using Google App Engine, and I'll jump right in without waste of time. So instead of just writing the content to the window like we did last in my fifth video or something, a fourth video, we want to store them in the database. So in order to store stuff in the database, we need to say from google.appengine.extension import db. So we are just importing the database module here in order for us to access and use it. So after doing that though, we need to create a post model. You need to create a post model that will simulate a post. So what we are saying here is we create a class called post and inherit everything from db.model, and then we create properties inside it. So a property like a title, every post needs a title, and then a content, and then the time it was created. So what we are saying here is, if you read more on the more documentations later, you'll see what I mean. And so a title is of type string, and when we set required to true, what we are saying here is you cannot store a post without a title. And then the content is the same thing. And then so when it comes to add date, however, what we are saying is auto add now is equal to true, to mean that every post will be stored with the time it was created, just automatically set from the system or by the system. Now after we are done creating the post model, now we can now go ahead and use it to create posts. So in order to do that, we go to the handler that has our form. So we have a form here. I just created a new handler here. Maybe this might not look familiar, but it's basically this handler here called new. So if you visit this that handler /new, actually you will see something like the form that I just showed you. So inside that handler, we create a post method that takes self, and then that post simply gets the subject. If you click published, right, it gets the subject, and then it also gets the content. We did this earlier in my previous video. So, and then now we create a post. Okay, we instantiate a post, and by doing that, we just pass in what it expects from here. The good thing is we don't need to pass in the add date, because that happens automatically for us. So we just say blog post is equals to post, then we pass title is equals to subject. In this case, the subject that was retrieved from our post, our form, and then the content is equals to content. And then we use that post that we created with its method. This is automatically given to you from the database data store, and you get something called blog post.put. What we do here is simply put it into the database. So we're just adding this blog post to the data store. So that's it, or that's all we needed. And after that, we can now go ahead and test this, and I'll show you how to use this redirect, self redirect, and pass in whatever URL you want later on. But now we are set to go, and I'm going to show you that this actually works. Now before I do that, if you are following me on this, you might want to know that in order to access and check the data store on your own, the back end, and see if there is data in there, you use this admin port. This is my admin port. In this case is 8007, and the regular port is 11085. So we will go ahead and visit that 8007 after posting something. So let's try it. So let's say post some testing data here, demo post, and then we can say this is a demo. This is a demo post for just fun. Okay, if we click here now, we will not be redirected anywhere. We might see a blank page, but that's not a problem. What we want to know is if the data is actually in the data store. So I'm going to clear this right now, just to make sure that nothing happens that we didn't expect. So we click publish, and we see an empty page here, which is fine. But now let's go ahead and check the database. Right now, before we refresh anything, this is empty. What about now? Oh, there it is. We have stored something finally. So we can click that and examine deeper and see, wow, this is really cool. And we can even say, this is more fun than I thought. Okay, and you can actually save it, and there it is. So you can add more and more and more, and that is the most important thing, is to be able to notice that you actually can save stuff instead of just printing on the pages. So this is how blog storage works, and I hope that from here on we can move on to more important stuff, and we will see in the next video how to retrieve the stored posts and display them on a web page or something like that, so that other people can actually see them. So see you soon, and hope you learned something. Thank you. Hello guys, this is a recap of my ongoing series on how to build a blog using Google App Engine, and I hope you've been following along, and you still have enough time to do all you want. Really, it's up to your schedule. Now, so what we started with was just a simple application, right, that said hello world. So we created our application in the application launcher, and when we just visited it for the first time, it said, oh, hello world and stuff like that. And then we edited the content, improved on it, added more stuff, and right now we have something that actually you could actually call this a blog. You can keep posting on it and publish it, right? And again, this is the basic, this is the simplest you can go, really. And of course you can add more stuff to it, and you can do more than that. So basically this is how the blog looks like right now, right? Your latest blog post, and this is my second post posted on that. A bunch of CSS in decorations here, and not very important really, and a few pages, about page, nothing there. And then the new tab here indicates, takes you to a form where you can submit a new post, right? So you can actually submit a new post here, and the moment you finish, you click publish, it will redirect you back to home, and it will show you the same thing that you just posted. So it's pretty decent. Now what we are doing here is we are getting the data from the forms, storing them into the database, and using the query method functions to get the posts from the data store and showing them to the users. Pretty easy. So we learned how to create a model for our posts, and passing in the properties that it expects, and storing the data using the put method, and then querying the database using db.gql query, and then select everything from post. So we also learned how to use templates. Okay, you see, at some point you want to avoid mixing HTML and Python together. So in order to do that, you need templates. So templates will help you do that and reduce all the messes, remove the messy work, and that's pretty much it. But maybe I should also mention something about handlers inside the app.yaml. Remember, if you want to render CSS or images or JavaScript, you need to indicate them here, add them here as a into the static directories. So point them to the static directories, and you should be able to go ahead with your rendering. So we also created some folders, assets and templates, and that's pretty straightforward if you've been following. And then now inside the index.html, I showed you how to use use Python code inside the HTML. That is pretty interesting, because you wouldn't really do these without, you know, using templates, because so that's pretty simple. Just say for something you can, you know, do all the coding here inside the HTML, but remember to, you know, use this syntax. This is pretty important, and that is as easy as it could get. So I'm going to jump in really quick into a presentation mode here of what I, you know, created earlier, and just to, you know, summarize everything and, you know, get done here. So we started by, you know, downloading Python and also downloading App Engine, Google App Engine. Installed those and we were set to go. Then we created our application. We realized that just the Hello World program doesn't really give us much, so we created more templates and more, you know, added more HTML there. I even introduced Bootstrap, CSS, and just some JavaScript, and that was pretty cool. And then we learned how to create handlers like home page or about page or new. So we created those and then rendered the respective HTML files. And then after that, I showed you how to include static files in your application inside the app.yaml. And then we handled the forms. So we picked up the information submitted by the users through the forms, and, you know, sometimes we displayed them on the browser, but we realized that that is not really smart enough. So instead we had to do something called storing storage. So we stored our data using the Google App Engine data store, and it's pretty easy, and we could confirm that by visiting the administrative console. And finally we retrieved the data from the data store and displayed them to the users every time. So we realized that maybe that might, if we have like millions of viewers or something like that, that might hit the database more often. So we might have to improve that by using something called caching. So we might do that next time in my post. So having said that, that's good enough for now, and I hope you've had fun. And if you have any questions, please, you know, you can, you know, ask them through Twitter or Google Plus or YouTube as well. And, you know, you can also visit my blog simpledeveloper.com and find me on Twitter through Invincible. And I'll see you soon, I guess. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again, and take care.
Hello guys, last time when I stopped the second video, I was you know, trying to explain what this app.yaml file contained. Okay, so at the top it has the name of your blog, and then the version, and then the runtime. Runtime in this case refers to the language we're using, in this case Python 2.7, and then the API version, which is 1, and then thread safety, which is yes. Okay, now that being said, under handlers we are trying to, you know, enable our application to render static files, okay, like JavaScript, like CSS and images. So if we want to use all those you know, like CSS and JavaScript images, we need to indicate them here. So that way our application will be able to show them when users request them. Okay, if you don't do that, you know, you will not be able to do that to you know, to achieve the goal. That's the difference between this and, you know, just regular HTML and static files web applications. Okay, so let's do this. And the last part of, you know, this file is libraries. We have a name which indicates the web app 2. We didn't have to change that because it came with the files, you know, the project by default. And then we needed to add Jinja 2 here because we added that, we introduced it you know, file which is in the main.py file. Remember, we didn't have to add the OS though, because it's probably not, it's not necessarily important to add there. Now maybe you are asking yourself, okay, so we already have a home handler, right? If someone visits our blog, they will see index.html, right? That's good. What about if I want to add, you know, more pages, like about or contact or something like that? The easiest way to do that is to use a handler. Just like the home, we could just copy that and paste it in there, and we could be, you know, flying in no time. But, you know, we can go ahead and create our own. Oh, sorry, it just did a crazy thing there. We say about, okay, and we have to inherit from base handler because we have some methods there that we need, and then we have to define a get function or a get method which takes a self argument, and that should be able to render, it should render our about page, right? Isn't that what we want? Good. So we have, you know, an about handler here that is ready to go. But before we leave this file, we need to add it to the application itself. Okay, this is where, you know, we map the pages to the, you know, to the request URLs. If you visit a web page and say /about or /contact, this is where we do the job. Okay, so all we need to do here is say when someone visits /about on our blog, they should be able to see something inside the about handler, and the about handler in this case is right here, and someone requesting that will make a get request to our server, and that will render self.render about.html. Okay, what is the next step? We need to create about.html. Huh? Isn't that really easy? Okay, so what we do is go to our templates folder. Remember, this is where we store all our HTML stuff. So we go to our template folder and create a file called about.html. I've already done that so that I can save you some time. So inside there, you know, all this is the same stuff that we had in the main, in the index.html. I just copied it and pasted it and then edited just a few stuff. And maybe you've noticed that I'm using CSS class, you know, and lists and stuff. But the most important thing here you could take away is using the bootstraps. I've used navbar inverse to make it darker in the background of the navigation bar. It's darker. And then I'm also using the brand class, which enables me to add the name of the app to the browser, you know, to the big navigation. And then we have a list here of home and the about. So the basic thing to notice here is if someone visits a / on our website, it will take them to home. Why? Because in our app we've said / takes you to home. That's it, simple. And if someone visits about or / about, it will take them to about, just like we did here. So that's it. And if we run this application right now, we will see something really beautiful. Okay, maybe I should mention this one too, class hero unit. That is just for you know, making home pages and business pages too. So if you see this, don't worry about this. You can do whatever you want with your own CSS. But you know, assuming that you have this, let's run this and see what happens. So browse, and bam. Okay, if we browse, it takes us to the home page, and wow, isn't this cute? Like, you know, we already see we have the name of our app, and then we have home, and then we have about. And if, what about if you want to go to, you know, the about page? Let's say just / about. Wow, contact me, even though that doesn't really have anything to say about me. So if we had changed the text there to say about me instead of contact me, that would be make much more sense. So that's good for now, and next time we will try and see if we can add some functionality to our application such that, you know, people can actually, you know, post stuff, and you know, it will be so much fun. Okay, so I'll see you soon and have a good time.